listening to SoFloRadio.com.
SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com.
Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, for a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Hey, everybody, welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and I'm welcoming you to explore another wonderful hour of some great beverage culture. It's been a while since we've been in the studio, but it is sure good to be back. I'm joined by my guest host, Jason.
Hey, now.
I got Ivan Van on the board.
Yes, I am.
We got Mr. Greg Garcia from Rataburger in the house. Welcome, Greg. Come on, give me a big round of
I
applause.
forgot. Hey, Jason, could you hand me my Oktoberfest hat?
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I
George,
forgot
I was
mine,
wondering what
yeah.
was going on here. It's an Oktoberfest show, folks. George has got to put his hat on because we are going to celebrate the season now. As you well know, in Germany, they come out around this time. It starts the end of September and works its way into the beginning of November, and it is Mr. Season
better
of
now.
Oktoberfest out there, where they celebrate the 200-year anniversary of King Leopold getting married to his lovely bride. Oh, what a wonderful fairy tale it is.
Really? That's all it's about that?
Well, I think
I
it's
thought it was about harvest or something.
Well, it's got to do with that too, because you're a smart guy. You realize that there's many different things working together, but that's the classic Warsteiner edition of the theory, right? But definitely, what it has to do is they did get married around that time, and there was beer that was able to drink around that time, because everybody knows in Germany back in the day with the Reinheitsgebot, you couldn't brew in the summertime, and so basically they had beer that was lagering through the summer in a nice cave somewhere, and they busted it out for a party. We're going to get into all that and much more, but we want to welcome Greg to the show. Thanks so much for being here, Greg.
Thank you for having me, Brett.
Absolutely. Greg handles the Rataburger Group, which is a very, very special group that is one of the largest producers of beer in Germany, the Rataburger brand. They also have a lot of beers under their umbrella. We're going to try all those beers today. One of the great things today is we're going to start with a great beer, which is what they call a breakfast or lunchtime beer. Gotta love the Germans, because why? Because they drink all day long,
Breakfast
right,
beer.
It's a beer. It's a beer mimosa.
It's a beer mimosa. Perfect. So you were just in Germany out there in Dresden. Did you guys drink Schafferhofer
Yes, we did.
in the lunchtime hour?
We sure did. It's in all the bars over there. Actually, Schafferhofer comes from Frankfurt.
Oh, it's from Frankfurt.
Yes,
Okay.
which is not from Rataburg. And Rataburg and Dresden, they have Rataburg.
Right.
Rataburger.
So yeah, that's perfect. So there's all the different beers that he has. They represent different parts of Germany and whatnot. He doesn't have any specific Oktoberfest beers, but let's face it, folks. If you were in Germany partying for Oktoberfest outside of the actual Munich area, which I'm sure they do party for Oktoberfest outside the Munich area.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they would be drinking all the beers that would be regional to them. Correct?
Yes.
This would definitely be one of them. Now, perfect example.
It smells great.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great beer. I really love this beer, and this beer has kind of taken South Florida by storm. Now, there's other rattlers out there. First, we're going to talk a little bit about what a rattler is for you folks at home. Generally, Germans don't really want to drink a soda, a high fructose corn syrup. They're not going to drink a juice straight up. So what's the best way to mix the two together is to create a
Put
beer.
beer.
Yeah, because beer is going to give you the carbonation you want. It's going to give you the sustenance you want. They're German, so they drink beer, like when they're sleeping, And, so what's the best way to do it is to mix them together. Talk to us a little bit about what Schafferhofer actually is, Greg.
Schafferhofer is the first ever Hefeweizen beer mixed with, it's infused with grapefruit juice.
So
the
it's
first
unfiltered?
ever. It's unfiltered. That's why it's very cloudy.
Yeah.
It's our
Wow.
Hefeweizen. We also have Schafferhofer Hefeweizen.
German. Do you remember, Jason, what Hefeweizen is?
Yes,
All
kind
your
of.
beer knowledge.
I
Why don't you
kinda
talk
remember.
to us about it?
No, I don't. I mean, come
Okay.
on, don't test me. But no, it's
No,
like
that's
an
a-
unfiltered
Well,
wheat
obviously,
beer.
it's a wheat beer.
It's
right?
an unfiltered
it is.
wheat beer.
That's exactly what it is. And Hefeweizen means yeasty wheat. Kind of like a couple of girls at George knows.
That's right.
But basically,
You promised you wouldn't bring that up on the air.
But basically, what it is they actually take wheat to make the beer as opposed to just 100% barley. Now, there's 50% of what the mash bill is barley. Sometimes they're all wheat, but the problem with all wheat is it just becomes a sticky, sloppy mess, George.
All the gluten.
Yeah, I know.
And it sticks
Strange.
together and it mucks, kind of like two dogs in the woods. Mm-hmm. But you can't. They call it stick in the mash, so you can't use just wheat. So you have to use something that'll actually let the water drain through during the mash process. So they use some barley. However, much barley it really differs from place to place. I think Weihenstephaner is one of the oldest and most well-renowned, and I think that they might use barley as well. Some places use all wheat and whatnot. Anyway, they use the wheat, but instead of the wheat can tend to be sweet. So what do? They really don't want to use heavy hops in it because the hops will be too bright in the beer. They'll be too soapy. They'll be too bitter. So they feel the best way to do it in Germany, anyway, is they allow the yeast itself to give off a profile to balance the sweetness of the wheat, and those are those phenols that give off spice and clove. Now, interesting thing about the Schafferhofer is not a lot of spice and clove, right?
No.
It's refreshing.
It's good,
and
yeah.
straightforward. They really have this wonderful balance. Now, how many people have you encountered while presenting this beer that say, I don't like grapefruit?
A lot. And I've had people tell me that they're allergic to grapefruit, that they can't have grapefruit. It's grape. It's infused with grapefruit juice. It doesn't have, they don't take a grapefruit and squeeze it in there. It's grapefruit juice. It's been, gone through the process. It's gone through the process.
They put it in there. What's the word I'm looking for? George? When it sits in there and it's
steeped.
There you go. That's a good one. It's kind of steeped in the grapefruit. It brings in the essence of it.
It's
I
exactly.
was very skeptical of this,
Yeah.
whatever that word is, but this is really good.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Most people are, and it's not overly sweet. It's got a little bit of sweet in
It's
it. but
crispy.
not-
You could really drink this.
You can drink this for breakfast, no problem.
Well, that's the thing. It's
Yep.
a brunch beer because basically on a Sunday afternoon you go out, get your little hair of the dog. What's the alcohol level on this?
It's just 2.5.
yeah,
2.5.
you could drink this all day long.
You can drink this out at lunch too, where you're going back to work and not have a problem.
Well, that's
with
the good thing because generally you go out and have a beer during
Yeah, I'm
lunch.
trying to become a full-blown alcoholic, so I'm going to start doing that.
This is a great one to start with. You can actually drink this in the morning. Have take your vitamins with it, and just have instead of juice. It's got. You know what? I'll tell you. I'll go right out on a
It
limb.
says
right?
3.2 here. What would you say?
Well, it depends.
Oh.
No, it's
Not-
2.5.
Yeah.
In states up north, it's
has
there's
to
a
have
There's
3.2.
ABV,
It's
and
right-
alcohol
it's
by
right
volume
there.
and alcohol
Oh,
by
yeah, okay.
weight. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So basically, though, I'll go on I'll go out there on a limb and say this is probably healthier for you than grapefruit juice because grapefruit juice is loaded with sugar. If you drank like OJ and grapefruit juice all day, you'd be loaded down with so much sugar you get diabetes in like a month.
Yeah.
So this is like definitely better for you. I mean, it's got to be. I'll have a lot less sugar, and the beer has minerals in it. It has sustenance. I mean, the Germans, they know what they're doing, man.
Yeah, this is delicious.
It's fantastic. And we'll get what elephant in the room. We'll get it out of the way. What's it say on the front of the label?
It's mixed with a extract of a coloring. I don't know how to say.
Oh,
it.
is that what we were challenged with before?
Cochineal.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Just because we don't need people talking shit about the beer.
It's just a food coloring. It comes from a beetle.
Right.
And
Jason was talking
natural.
about it. Now,
It's in like a million foods. I mean,
talk to us about some of the major food groups out there that everybody eats every day that
chips,
has this beetle.
what did I say?
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its have it.
Cheez-Its.
Anything that's orange or anything like
Anything
that.
that's orange basically has this beetle. And guess what? It's totally natural. It's the shells ground up and then they make the color of it. There's so many foods out there that use this that they just put it on there because, actually, once again, if the Germans are going with it, it's probably a more natural and better way to do this than add some nasty chemical food coloring to the brand. So we stand behind it.
Yeah, it just
100%.
says when it's
Absolutely.
used as a food additive, it has to be on the packaging. That's all it says.
Yeah, that's probably one of the laws. But the Schafferhofer grapefruit. Now Schafferhofer has other things in the
Oh, because
line,
if
right?
Yes.
vegans can't eat it because it comes from an animal.
That's true. Okay.
Exactly.
Ah, that's what
exactly.
that
was.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So talk to me about Schafferhofer in general. I mean, it's
And
not
Muslims,
Okay.
but we don't care about them. Anyway,
Schafferhofer started off as just a wheat beer. It's Schafferhofer Hefeweizen.
Right.
It's your typical wheat beer where they've mixed it with grapefruit. We have pomegranate. We have lemon lime.
Ooh, lemon lime sounds good, huh?
We have.
Have you
there's-
tried all these? You
I
tried
have
any of
tried them. All. They're all available in Germany.
Right.
We started with the grapefruit, and as the grapefruit has been selling, you know how this grapefruit started. It all started because of Epcot. for the food and wine.
Wine, yeah.
Wow, talk to us about that.
That's a great time.
This came in for Epcot. I want to say 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and it came for the food and wine. Epcot was skeptical about it,
right.
And they didn't want to bring it in, but what they brought in sold out in the first 2 weeks of the first year, and we only brewed it for them, so we didn't have enough to fulfill the 6 weeks of the food and wine.
Wow!
So the second year they ordered so much that we decided to bring it to the U.S.
That's great.
That the brewery decided.
Now, I remember going to Germany, just regular Germany at Epcot. Did they have Rataburger at one time there ever?
We currently have Rataburger.
Oh, so
Rataburger's been there for 3 years.
Yeah, I was just there. Yeah.
Did you see it there?
You
probably didn't go to Germany.
Yeah, we went through it really quick. We spent a lot of time in Japan, actually.
This is one of the top.
Well, Japan, where there's no radiation.
Where they had the Japan beer that we've talked about before.
Asahi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. That's cool. No, that's a great story. Are you going up to the food and wine, or did you already do that this year?
I actually will be up in tomorrow.
What's that like? I mean, it's
like a whole month, right, or even longer?
It's about 6 weeks.
Wow.
5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just started last weekend. Actually, I think 2 weekends ago. It runs till the first weekend in November. What it is?
Time to go to.
What it is you got different booths from different places of the world, and they sample their beer from where they're from.
Would you suggest people go? I mean, is it worth the ticket?
Oh, it's great. It's great, and it's
really
part of
good
the
time.
Epcot ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no extra charge for it.
Really?
You can actually sample beers that are brought there by breweries that are not year round.
Wow.
And we'll try one later that you guys can taste.
That's amazing. Very cool. So, what do you think, George? Would this be something that you would try out?
Yeah, it's great, and I'm out.
Yeah, Jason, you pour some more? You mind?
Yeah, there's one.
What's great about it, he's got cans too, right? Is there cans to shop for?
There's one can
Pop
in
a
there.
can. Bust out a can, Jason. Look at this. 16-ounce cans. Now,
Nice.
what's better on the beach when you're riding your bike? You still riding your bike to the beach, George?
I am. Not as much as I used to. I mean, it's been raining and everything.
What about this rain, huh? It's been kind of killing beer sales a little bit, right?
Sure has.
But
Pour
yeah,
with some, pour
this
with
would
some
be
head on
great.
there.
Great on the beach.
That's nice.
Yeah, let me hold
That's the
some.
beautiful thing about. Have you noticed the can revolution down here? Everybody's going to cans.
Everybody's going to can. It's the easiest thing to. It's the
Why
easiest thing
not?
to have. Yep.
I'm thinking of putting wine in a can and just being the first guy to do it.
I
What do you
bought-
think? Has anybody done it?
Yeah.
I bought a what is it? A 16-pack of cans, and I normally just buy bottles of everything for the first time, and I was amazed at how light it was. Like I forgot how light cans were. So you know, it's like whatever it was, 16, 18 cans, and I'm like, this is nothing. Wow, I could just carry a bunch
I
of these.
believe aluminum is the second most abundant product in the entire world.
Is it really?
Well,
Wow.
next to
It takes a lot of energy
Carbon.
to get it out of the earth, but
You know, I tell you, my can story is probably 10 years ago almost. Was it 9 years since we had our last hurricane, Wilma or whatever it was? And, you know, the power was out, and I'll be honest with you, I think it was Coors Light. I had it in a can. We just had it in the house or whatever. And we hadn't had power for, I don't even know how long. I think it was out for 3 or 4 days. And, of course, the ice is still cold in the cooler, and it had been miserable hot. And I stuck my hand in the cooler and grabbed an ice-cold can of Coors Light, cracked that shit open, and just slammed it. And let me tell you something, it was the most refreshing beer I'd had. I mean, it was amazing. I'm like, I'm never drinking out of a bottle again if I can. I mean, as a craft beer guy, I drink out of a glass, you know, always. But beers like that, you drink them out of a can. And they're just such great, they're great. And the problem we still see out there in the market is people are still have pushback against cans. I understand in a classy
if I'm in Winn-Dixie, I'm grabbing or picking up 6-pack, I grab bottles. I'll be honest with you, unless I see Dale's or something. But,
Wait, well, that's because,
but if I'm going to the beach or something,
well, is
then
there
I'm
an
gonna grab
option
this.
for you though?
Yeah.
It's can and bottle or both available?
No. Most of them are bottles. Yeah.
Right. Well, they're there in a bottle.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, if there was a Dale's can and a Dale's bottle, what would you grab?
Yeah.
Mama's Little Yellow Pills bottle and can. Which would
I'd
you
have
grab?
to try it in the bottle if it ever came.
But
in the bottle.
no. It's been available the whole time. No trying.
All right, I'll go with the cans. Brett.
Exactly.
All right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Right.
All right, you got it.
Yeah, the cans are easy. Sorry, they're light and easier to deal with afterwards too.
And you get to crush them.
You can crush
that's
them. I
Exactly
always love
right.
crushing them. That's
Pack them in, pack them out. Don't have to go looking for a garbage can.
Leave
Can.
only footprints.
Yeah. So how long have these cans been available?
These cans have been available probably at the beginning of this year. We started brewing them at the end of last year. They hit the market in the U.S. probably February, early March, and they've been available in South Florida for about a month and a half, maybe.
Wow.
Now, is the government going to come down on like flavored beer, like they're coming down on flavored cigarettes, or?
Well, I didn't know about flavored cigarettes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, they banned them. That's why they're not around anymore.
Is it because they appeal to kids?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I don't know.
It's got to be different. I mean, there have been flavored beers forever since there's been beer. I mean, that's part of
almost
beer.
like a
Beer
soda,
comes in
though.
flavors.
Well,
this is like grapefruit soda.
Really?
That's the thing. In Germany, like I started this whole thing off
Their
with,
kids would be able to drink that.
And personally, my brain didn't go there, but I was talking to Greg about it, and he said it's in Germany they drink this instead of soda, and that's what a Rattler is, right?
That's what a Rattler's for. It's really for a day beer, a morning beer. They wake up and they'll have a beer, and they don't want a beer with 5%.
Interesting thing.
United States would be so much more less uptight if we did that every day.
Well, I tell you what, everybody's doing it. It's just that people don't do it in the public because no one wants to be, denounced for it.
Yeah, another good thing about Rattler is 2.5.
Yeah.
You can have 3 and not be legally drunk.
Oh,
if you have a craft beer with 6% alcohol, you drink one bottle and you're kind of legally
So
drunk.
you're still hanging out. You're still being sociable. You're still drinking a beer. You know what I mean? But it's just not as alcoholic.
And it tastes good.
So it really is a nice alternative for people out there. And it's doing very well. I see people catching on to it all the time.
George would have to have one of those hats with 2 things and the straws going in.
Yeah, I think so. I've always wanted an excuse
and a catheter
to have one of those hats.
You don't have to get up at all.
Yeah. I can't. Wow, you're just thinking this through, right? If only I could figure out a way to recycle. I'd never have to leave the house.
But the interesting thing is when you talk about kids drinking it, in Europe they still make table beers which are very low alcohol for children to drink. The Belgians do it. They make it. They don't sell it. They're sold like if you walk into a convenience store in Belgium, they're going to have beers that are 2-3% alcohol that are very low, even 5.5% and whatnot, that they call table beer that they bring home and that the kids drink, that everybody drinks. And it's just a beverage like any other beverage. Very low alcohol. It's like if you were drinking one of your other fine brands, the Klossdaler.
Yep.
Isn't it amazing? Klossdaler is your non-alcoholic brand, right?
Yep. It's my non-alcoholic. It's 0.5% alcohol. And the process, it's the only non-alcoholic beer in the world that's got a special process where they don't remove the alcohol. It's brewed and they take it out before the alcohol.
I kind of wish you would have brought one of those because I've never really had a non-alcoholic beer, to be honest with you. And I should have told you to bring one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had one either.
How does it taste?
If you drink it and I don't tell you,
that's 3.
I never saw the point. It's like decaffeinated coffee.
Yeah. What's the point? I never drank decaf.
Not on purpose. Waitress came at me with the orange handle coffee pot and was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "No, it's not decaf. It's not where." It's like, "Alright, you sure?" So we just ran out of the brown handled.
Yeah, no, they break them all the time.
Okay.
So you would never know.
It's actually, you can drink it and you won't know it's a non-alcoholic.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll have to play a trick on George.
I tell you what, though, man, that's if you're really trying to stop drinking and whatever, and you have one of those in your hand at a party, I mean, that's really got to help you out a lot.
Yeah.
You're just drinking a beer that tastes like a beer. You're having fun.
Oh, we have friends.
You don't even realize. Jimmy Murray.
Yeah,
but pour it into a beer glass so that people don't make fun of you.
No, I know, but he shows up with non-alcoholic beer all the time.
Yeah, it works.
He loves
it.
Yeah.
Tool. Yeah.
We saw a lot of non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's my number 1 selling brand.
Really? It's ridiculous. It's like, how many thousands of cases is it? It's a lot. Right?
Oh, it's by far my number 1 selling brand.
I've never seen anyone buying it.
Well, it's in every single Publix.
Yeah.
And it's one of the top-selling NAs in all the Publix.
Wow.
So next time you go to Publix, look for Klossdaler.
And it'll be in all Winn-Dixie's after they finish it.
Yeah, it's insane. But here's the thing: non-alcoholic beer used to be like it tastes like total crap. I mean, what was the one? The O'Doul's.
The O'Doul's.
They're horrible.
Yeah,
Horse Cutter.
Yeah.
I mean, who could drink that stuff?
Yeah, what's the other
as
one?
As if the regular stuff wasn't bad enough. Those light beers made by them. I mean, the O'Doul's, unbelievable. So it's nice to have that too, but it's amazing that Germany, leave it to them, man, to really innovate the next wave of what people are drinking in America. They're going to set the trends for certain things, but and we'll actually get into this a little bit later, but we can touch upon it now. Germany really wants to start getting some influence from America, huh? This whole now one of the brand families underneath the Radaburger group, some people you represent, we're going to have a beer later. They're really going to start doing American styles, right?
They're doing it's German craft beer.
It's German craft beer.
Yeah, it's a collaboration with craft breweries, but it's really Mark Roshman. He's the guy that created it. I mean, he created it. You're talking about not even 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it's been in the works. I think it was in 2009, 2008.
So he's going to step outside the German beer purity laws in order to do
He's
that.
actually keeping it in the German purity law as much as possible, yeah.
So technically an IPA can be brewed in the German beer purity law because they have just hops, water, yeast, and grain.
Yeah, it's just the process will be different.
But they just don't have anything like that in Germany because the ales. I mean, they love their hops, but their ales, they have Kolsch's and they have.
If you go to Germany, you can find Brooklyn is in Germany.
Right.
The German culture wasn't in the craft brands, but now since these American crafts have been going to Germany exported, they wanted to have their own.
Right.
So
you guys handle some. You handle the Kinder, the Berliner Kindle.
Berliner Kindle. We Radaburger Group USA. Radaburger Group in Germany is the largest. It's the biggest brewery group in Germany. We have the most breweries in Germany. We have breweries throughout the whole country of Germany.
The whole country.
Yeah.
And it's just great because you have the Altemünster.
We have the Altemünster, which is in the south. We have
that would be now Altemünster makes an Oktoberfest and a Dunkel and all different types of right.
They do, but again, that's one of those brands that come only to Epcot.
Right. But they're brewed and produced all throughout Germany. Those brands.
We have different brands that are produced throughout the whole Germany. Now,
right.
Each brand is brewed in its home, in its city, in its region.
Right. So Altemünster.
It's in the mountains in the south.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's probably one that people would. I mean, of course, it's because it's not in the Munich city limits. It's not a classic Oktoberfest beer, but it's definitely one that you would party with at Oktoberfest.
It's the closest beer that we have to Munich.
That's fantastic. Yeah, what we were talking about before, the reason that certain beers are Oktoberfest beers and are like the Hofbrau. Was Warsteiner one?
No, it's Hacker-Pschorr,
Hofbrau,
Lowenbrau, Paulaner,
St. Pauli's girl.
Spaten.
Spaten, yeah. And Augustiner Brau.
Yeah.
Grolsch.
Grolsch is Holland. So those beers are actually brewed within the Munich city limits, and they were there during the original Oktoberfest times. I'm sure that's... Some people would fight you on that one, but they've been around since those times, so obviously they're probably drinking some form of those beers, I would imagine, back in those days. But those beers, I mean, people drink the regular Pilsner lagers. They're not necessarily Pilsners. They're more Municher Helles, which is a more full-bodied form of lager as opposed to the German Pilsner lager. The actual Oktoberfest beer is a Märzen. A Märzen is a beer that's brewed in March and comes to fruition right around the time of harvest, Jason, September, October.
Absolutely.
It's lagered throughout the summertime in a cave in a cold area. That means that the difference, and this is something that I actually had to study quite definitively because it always escaped me. When the beer is sitting on the yeast, it's fermenting. Okay? Take away the yeast, but keep the beer in cold storage, it's lagering, but not on its yeast. It is no longer fermenting. It's now lagering.
It's just sitting there.
So people often explain to you how it's a cold, long fermentation, but it's really not. It's a typical fermentation of 6 weeks, and then they take the yeast off and allow it to drop bright and cold.
Okay.
And that will change the beer overall. There's still residual yeast in there, but it's not the amount of yeast that's going to continue the beer to attenuate and become drier. So once you have a classic character of the beer, then you would remove the yeast and allow it to lager longer. So that's basically what's happening. And if you have a beer that is of more of a roasted Vienna malts or that type of thing, it's going to be a Märzen, so it's going to be a little bit on the toasted side. That's why you have like a nice Oktoberfest is a nice toasty brown to it. So, but some of the beers that people drink all day long at Oktoberfest are Municher Helles and German Pilsner. And what we have coming up next for Radaburger is the actual Radaburger German Pilsner. And we're going to get into that. Maybe we should take a quick break, just a short one.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll get into Radaburger, the true German Pilsner. We'll talk about what makes it a Pilsner, what Pilsner is, and how it differs from other different Helles and other styles of lagers when we do all that on By the Glass Show on SoFloRadio.com.
SoFloRadio.com. Radio's dirty little secret. Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now. 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
Return the favor. 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 With their debut release, Picture This. Featuring You Have My Attention. Just ask the question. Go to facebook.com/Return the Favor. Picture This. Return the Favor. Available on iTunes.
And now we return you to By the Glass.
I know nothing. Nothing.
I want to thank Germany.
Are you Schultze? Who's Schultze around here? Are you Schultze?
Yeah, I'm not Schultze. I don't have the body for it. I would have been LeBeau.
Yeah, you would have been
just had the little guy there.
Yeah, you are LeBeau. You're so LeBeau. You never watched Hogan's Heroes, man?
Yeah.
Oh my
just
God.
the little guy, but it's, I would have been the Demolitions guy in like real life. That means because blowing things up.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Welcome back to By the Glass Show. We are a show about beverage culture. We come to you Thursdays at 6 o'clock. You can always catch us on By the Glass Show on SoFloRadio.com. There's a lot of great stuff going on with SoFloRadio.com. Why don't you fill us in?
All kinds of new shows. First of all, we have a show that just started every Monday. It's from 2 to 3 o'clock, and it's about business. It's called CEOmanship. It's hosted by Steve Gordon, who does a lot of seminars on the subject, and
so it's like a free seminar.
Writes articles, it is, and you can call in and ask questions, and normally the kind of thing that you'd be charged a lot of money for if you went to him or someone else. CEOmanship. And then the other new show that we haven't spoken about since you've been on the air is Rick's Show on the Radio, which precedes this show, and it's a local entertainment show. He brings on local musicians, bands, acts like that, filmmakers also for the second half of the show typically.
Is he a doctor or something, though?
Rick?
Yeah.
Dr. Rick? No. He's actually, his day job is an aircraft engineer. But he himself is a musician. He plays bass, which is almost like a musician. And
hey now.
And
I'm a bass player.
And but he's an actor and a director, and he directs a lot of music videos. So he does a lot of multimedia. He calls it transmedia events called Cinemusique, where he plays the music videos. He'll rent the Cinema Paradiso either here in Hollywood or the one in Fort Lauderdale, and he'll put on these events where the featured bands will perform. Then they'll show their videos, have a little question and answer session with the band members, the directors. Really, multifaceted guy, and he does a multifaceted show. And that's on Thursdays. That's for before By the Glass from 4 till 5 o'clock, and new shows in the works as we speak.
Wow, that's awesome! It's great to be back and pumping it out, doing the thing. Beverage culture has not stopped, and neither do we. We are always bringing you something fun and interesting when it comes to wine, beer, and spirits. We are your one-stop shop for everything fun and cool. So we continue with Greg Garcia from Radaburger. He's in the studio to grace us with all these awesome beers because it's that time of year. It is Oktoberfest, and we are trying all these wonderful, wonderful German products here. So basically when people go out and have a beer in America, they drink a Pilsner, man. It was one of those beers that really took the world by storm. Lagers took the world by storm, but Lager Pilsners really took the world by storm. And the difference between real German Pilsners and American lagers are the fact that the German beers have 100% grain. There's no corn or rice adjunct, and it's their hop content. So talk to us a little bit about that, Greg. The Radaburger Pilsner.
Yeah, the Radaburger Pilsner is actually the first German Pilsner ever made.
Wow.
It's been around since 1872.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And so obviously it's been in the hearts of the people now. Jason's pouring, and it's a beautiful golden color.
This is totally the opposite of what we just had with the wheat beer.
Right.
This is very clear. It's crisp. It looks golden in color.
Now, when you look at malt and how everybody knows that malt is barley grain. Now, in Germany, they grow a 2-row pale malts, and also Pilsner is a region in Czechoslovakia, really, where they grow a certain types of barley. Now, those barleys that they grow are very specific to the region. It's almost an appellation where a certain type of product is grown. So then they harvest it and they make malt out of it by soaking it in water and drying it. Now, back in the day, you would create floor malts, and those floor malts were very, very light. Why were they called floor malts? Because they would be dried on the floor by shuffling them around with a rake, and that would be the only way to really get them dry in the sunshine out in the open air without putting them in a kiln. Because if you put them in a kiln, what happens to them? They toast, right? And they become darker. So in order to get a crystal clear beer, which they really invented in Czechoslovakia for the first time, was you had to put them on the floor. Now everybody knows that the reason that it was 1846 or something like that, the reason the first Pilsen was created in Czechoslovakia wasn't because the Germans didn't want to or have the means to do it 1,000 years before. It's just that they didn't have the water chemistry. And every time they would try to make a beautiful, bright, clear, golden beer and add their hops to it, the hops would become soapy because there was too much sulfur, the water was too hard, and then the hop composition with the water would create a really soapy, nasty flavor, and they couldn't figure it out why. So what they would do is they would take their malts and they would roast the malts to extract all the sugars from them. That's why they're called Vienna-style malts, and they would make what dark lagers, dunkels. Those dunkels have enough of a malty, sweet base so that the hops wouldn't turn soapy, and that's why you have dark German lagers for so long, and that's why the first light lagers or golden lagers come from Czechoslovakia. However, the Germans figured out water chemistry once they got some scientific, right around the 1850s.
1853.
And they began to produce these
Wikipedia.
wonderful. Yeah, they began to produce these wonderful beers, and this is one of the first that they produced in Germany. Correct?
This is the first beer, the first Pilsner beer in Germany. It's in Radeberg, and this has been brewed in the same Radeberg, which is the region in Saxony, and it's been brewed there in the same brewery since 1872. It's the only beer brewed in that brewery. The water, it's been the same water since 1872. They will never change the formula, never brew it anywhere else, like other German beers that have moved around the country.
That is a classic beer. I mean, you cannot deny the taste.
Absolutely.
The
So we do our evaluation of beers here on the show, ATTMF. The appearance of it is absolutely what? Golden straw?
Yep. Straw.
But it's slightly golden, though. Golden straw. It's not a completely white beer. It's definitely got some gold.
It's refreshing.
So... definitely the smell.
It's delicious.
The aroma of this sucker.
It's crisp. It's refreshing.
That's pure malt right there.
It's very dry.
That's a really pure malty sweetness, right?
For those of us who like malty beers, yeah.
Do you get like a sweet cereal note off of it? Malty cereal
I do, and I really like the palate cleansing nature of it, man. It's just really.
These are great glasses to smell beer in, because it really is a abundance of. It's kind of almost like one of those you're eating cereal at home, like a really fresh cut cereal note that you're just cracking open a fresh biscuit, that type of thing that you get, the real yeasty, really sweet cereal note. And then as we taste it,
yeah, there's no after bite to it.
No, it's clean, clear, crisp.
That's one of the reasons. That's what differentiates from other German pilsners, the aftertaste. This one doesn't leave you that aftertaste.
Right. There's no aftertaste, but there is a considerable hop bite to a German Pilsner, which you don't necessarily get in a lot of other Pilsners necessarily. More American Pilsners wouldn't have as much of a hop bite to them. And, it's interesting when I drink this one, it's going down much smoother than in times past. My perception of hops changes quite different from day to day. Sometimes IPAs are just like middle of the road for me. Sometimes they're just like I can't even drink them for some reason. And then other times it's like I need more hops. Same thing with Pilsners.
There might be there's a perception that Pilsners need to be drank really cold, and this one's been sitting here for about half an hour now, and that's beer. These beers shouldn't be drank really, really cold.
Yeah,
they should be not room temperature, but really close to room temperature.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't drink this really cold like I would. Because
it just like Pilsners. Anything else, it just kills the flavor.
It kills the flavor exactly.
These the wonderful. It's such a lovely, like almost honeyed or golden, like a Diggum Smack type of, really great flavor that comes off it, and then it has that really nice hops that just balance it. I think George hit it on the head when he talked about the drying aspect of it. George, right?
It is. It's just a really clean, dry mouthfeel to it.
The finish though,
yeah.
Go from a really nice sweet cereal note to a really nice dry finish. The Germans, they make it this way. I mean, they're drinking beer all day. They're drinking beer all weekend. This is the kind of beer you can just drink and eat. And how does this one work? I mean, with food and everything, as far as
this pairs well with this pairs well with the steak. You can have pasta with it. I mean, it's a
pilsner. Some good Oktoberfest parties, huh?
Oh yeah,
you can have a pizza with this. I want some
good
cheese.
Bratwurst.
Yeah. Ooh, bratwurst.
Good bratwurst. Whatever, schnitzel.
You can boil
I think
bratwurst.
schnitzel is probably one of my favorite things to have with this beer. It's funny because I went to one of his parties that he threw down in Miami in the Brickell area, and it was in the VIP tent. There was schnitzel that they were giving out, and let me tell you something. I never really had real schnitzel. I mean, I'm Italian, so we call it Milanese. Like a chicken Milanese, a breaded chicken, whatever. But they do their own thing to it when it's a schnitzel. What was that, Jason?
The chicken parm. Is that what you guys are talking about?
No, chicken Milanese is the parm without the cheese and sauce.
Oh, okay.
It's the breaded chicken,
breaded
that's what a schnitzel is. Now, anything that you pretty much bread and fry is a schnitzel.
Yeah,
you can
pretty
do
much,
pork
yeah.
schnitzel, like
Wiener
veal,
schnitzel.
the Wiener schnitzel. Yeah.
Yeah, you have veal chicken.
Veal chicken. So I was eating all kinds of schnitzel, and schnitzel can be dry because it's breaded and whatnot. But then you drink it with the Radaburger. It is absolutely heavenly. It's amazing how they complement each other. Crisp, refreshing, cool, but then it cleanses the palate. It cleans all that really nice richness off the palate. All the juices from the meat. It's an exceptional beer for that type of thing. And let's face it, I mean, Martins are good to drink. It's kind of like with craft beer. I think a lot of people, they'll go into a bar, and if they're drinking 3, 4, 5 beers, whatever, they'll try different stuff. But then it's like you kind of want a lager after that. It's nice to clean the palate with a good lager. I mean, you're a Guinness drinker, right, George?
Right, yeah.
But I know you're switching over to a lager. Well, Guinness actually has a nice acrid burnness to it that...
I don't always.
Guinness is a stout, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's other. I mean, Guinness. There are many Guinnesses.
There are, and there's many stouts. But Guinness is a dry Irish stout, and it has like a burnt note that
import.
You can, and it's very light beer. People think it's heavy, but it's a very light beer that you can drink many of. But you always kind of want to switch over to a lager after a certain point.
Yeah.
It's always nice to.
I can't drink Guinness all day. Well, actually, I can. I have.
But it's always nice.
It's yummy. But no, this is very good. I mean, I like to switch it up. I like variety in my life. So, and I like the German beers. These are
Jason.
really,
would you grab 4 rocks glasses, please?
Yes.
So what we're going to do now is we are going to do a little bit of a comparison.
Use the the Funky Buddha glasses there. Yeah,
you can use those. It don't matter. That's fine.
Those are beer glasses that came from
absolutely.
Funky Buddha. No?
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour the Radaburger and we're going to open up the DAB. George, would you hand me a can of the DAB, please? So I often, the DAB was a Dortmunder Achten Brewery.
What?
Yes.
So Dortmunder Achten Brewery means that Dortmund is a region, is a city in Germany in the north. And
it's actually in the northwest.
It's the northwest.
It's in the west, yeah.
So, and known as a coal mining region. It's very
known as the railroad.
Right. Yeah. So there was actually a coal mine or a valley that stretched through a certain area, and they would go down there. Very rough, tough life. Let's face it. This is like the West Virginia of Germany. Like the guys with the coal miners.
Yes,
and they busted their ass. It was a tough, blue collar, even worse, type of place where, for most of this century, people really worked very hard, and the Pilsner or the Municher Helles, it just wasn't enough for them. So brings us to Dab. Talking a little bit about the brewery itself and the Dab.
Dab it's a lager that's been around again since 1868. It was started brewing in 1868, became public in 1872. It's been in that region, and it's the beer of that region. Of the railroad guys would work all day,
hard working.
They were hard working in the mines, and they wanted good beer on their way home. They would stop.
So they come out of the mine, and they couldn't. So Jason or George, crack open a Radaburger. We're going to pour that in one glass, and then we're going to pour the Dab in the other glass. And I want you guys to taste. We lost towards our other glasses. We want to do a little bit of a taste test here. I want you guys to taste the difference between two very classic lager styles. One being a Pilsner, which is the world's most famous, and then a Dortmunder lager, which really is unknown. And I absolutely love this Dab. This beer, really, it's very inexpensive to buy, right? You can get.
Did it just come out or something?
You can get a 6-pack of 16-ounce cans for like what, like $7.99 or something like that. Ridiculous.
It's actually in a 6-pack and it's $7.99.
6-pack of 16-ounce cans for $7.99.
That's almost like Old Milwaukee.
But wait till you taste the beer. It's an exceptional quality beer. So as we look at the two beers, one's definitely more gold than the other. Not superiorly more, but you have the Radaburger, and then you can smell with the Dab. You smell much more of that pure malt honey, almost like that really more intense. It really comes out. So appearance is a little more golden. This one's a little paler. This one's more golden, the Dab. And then you see how on the nose, one's a little bit more of a... You can almost taste like a German spicy note on the nose from this. Very light.
The Dab's got those champagne bubbles going.
Very good, George. The Dab has different types of bubbles.
I like the Radaburger smell better.
Me too, though. I haven't tasted it.
You know why? Because it has a little bit of a spicy hop on the nose. Just a touch of it, I think.
The Radaburger's good.
Radaburger,
I'm not offended.
Right. But now taste the Dab, and you're going to taste much more of a complex lager.
Oh, yeah. That's a unique flavor.
See what happens when you basically have the same... It's a different ratio of water to grain. So what they have is more of a concentration of malt right there, George. You taste that?
I do. Yeah.
The flavor profile is much stronger right there. And also the alcohol is a little bit higher, but... There's residual sugar in there, too, which gives you a more body to the beer.
This one has just a little bit of a nutty aftertaste.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that comes from the malt itself, too.
Yep, definitely. I mean, the Radaburger's an easier drink, and it's crispier than the drier, like George had said earlier.
Yeah, but this wasn't enough for those guys. You know, they wanted something. Their beers, they wanted them a little stronger, a little bolder flavor, more alcohol. A bigger, stronger beer.
Yeah, that's good. Is it just a little more alcohol in that one too?
What are the specs on that?
And 4.8. The Dab has 5.
Yeah. So, but it's just enough to where basically what they're doing is they're creating a bigger beer with a little bit more body, and in order to do that, they needed to add more.
It's a tough choice if I had.
Now,
to
would they actually?
Yeah, which one do you like better? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a hard call.
That's apples and oranges. But what now? Would they use actually more malt or barley? Physically more barley, not just leaving.
You know, the best way to explain it is if you make a cup. Let's say you're making a pot of coffee, and you always use the same amount of coffee leveled out in the filter that you slide in the thing, right? Old coffee makers. But the amount of water that you use in your canister that you're gonna pour in there, it differs. So with the Pilsner, you fill it all the way to the top line, right? But with the Dab, you pull it only way to the three-quarter line.
Concentrated low.
So you can have more of a concentration of the actual malt in the water. And that's what it is. So now that we've done this, right, how do we change the chemistry of the beer overall? Well, now we have to, once it's been brewed, we have more of a concentration of malt. Now we have to figure out how much of it do we want, how much attenuation do we want, how much alcohol do we want. We have a bigger overall gravity of beer, right, concentration of dissolved sugars in water. So now we need to ferment that beer to a certain level. We can ferment it all the way to 5% and still have it be more residual sugar and a bigger gravity overall because of the initial wort gravity that we started with. So that's what it is. It's a bigger overall beer, more concentration. But also they've added probably the same amount of hops. It doesn't seem like it's hoppier. It seems a little less hoppier and sweeter on the finish. Yeah. But it's still nice and dry and goes down quite the same. Not as dry and crisp as the Radaburger.
Yeah. Are all of their flavors here in the United States?
No,
the dark just came out. It's not here in South Florida.
That looks kind of special right there.
Yeah, that one I haven't even tried it yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's brand new.
Is it dunkel?
It's the Dab. It's just Dab dark.
It'd be cool if you call it have a Dab of dunkel.
Dab dark sounds good.
There's a hoppy one too, a Maybach.
A Maybach.
Maybach is only available in Germany.
So
that's 7%, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is 7. Yeah.
So actually, a Maybach is interesting because what that is once you get over 6%, then it's a Bock. But a Maibock, so generally a Bock is a beer where they use a nice toasty malt. So Bocks tend to be a little bit darker, so they are a little more on the malty side. But in the northern part of Germany, where they don't have the same water chemistry, they can brew light beers, so they create Maibocks. And Maibocks tend to be a little hoppier, a little lighter, a little bit more floral note and fruity, as opposed to, and they're still lagers, as opposed to a malty balance. And that's the difference between a Maibock and a regular Bock. And it's about 6 to 7% at least. So that's the northern part of Germany.
Looks great like beers. They have a light beer too.
They have light beer, yeah.
Tab light. But you know the difference between German light beers and American light beers?
No.
German light beers are less alcohol. American light beers are less calories. German in Europe, light beers don't have less calories. They're light because they're lighter in alcohol. And that's a common misnomer.
It's still 4.9. So.
Yeah, but as opposed to 6 or
and the calories are only 33. So I might test your theory on that.
Calories are only 33.
Yep.
Really?
Per 100 milliliters. Yeah.
Per 100 milliliters. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because everybody says the grapefruit, since it's a wheat beer, has a lot of calories. It only has 41 per 100.
Right. So how much is the whole can then? How many milliliters is the can?
It's only 11.2 fluid ounces, so 330 milliliters.
So that's 40 times 3, 120.
About 130. Yeah.
130 calories isn't bad when you consider a diet or a light beer in America is 100 calories.
It's 100, yeah.
That's really not bad. And Guinness has 125.
Yeah.
So
it's not for dieters.
Well,
but it's not
25 calories more than a regular light beer. Literally, a Miller Lite is 100.
Right.
96, yeah.
People think a lot about the Guinness. It doesn't have a high alcohol content like people think, and unless you get that import, which is like 15%.
Oh, I have. Like oh my God! Somebody gave me a bottle of the stuff. Ross gave me a bottle of the specialty. It's brewed for the anniversary. They just brewed it, and whatever it's like. The real bottle's coming out, and it's going to be like a $50 bottle. He gave me what the juice inside, just in a bottle. So we'll bring that in and we'll drink that.
All right.
Yeah, sounds but great. It's not Guinness Draft like you would have on tap. It's like Guinness Extra Stout type.
Sure, I like it all.
But yeah, Guinness Extra Stout is a wonderful product. But anyway, so yeah, I really love the Dab. I think it's phenomenal. And especially such a value. I mean, George, literally, you can get 6 of those for $7.99.
That's
amazing.
A great
what stores is that in now? Everywhere?
Total Wine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get distribution because people don't really, it's funny because they'll put Steel Reserve in there, you know what I mean? But they won't put like a great beer like this in there.
That's just crazy.
It's hard to break through to the American psyche. But, I bet if we went around to a couple of C-stores in Hollywood, we could probably sell it in. Oh, they do? Yeah.
A lot of places have it up here in Hollywood. I mean, you can find it at most.
We're very sophisticated, yeah.
Well, they'd be Winn-Dixie's, right? They'd be willing because they know people would be willing to buy it, because they can get an extra point on there and put $8.99 all day long.
Well, I noticed even in my Publix, they're making the beer area a lot bigger. They have to. I mean, there's just more.
They're actually taking out the malt beverages and moving them to a dry section.
They should.
That's up for debate still.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think they're coming back with that back in the cooler in spring. Most of those malt beverages are Diageo, Miller, Budweiser.
Guys that really pay the money.
Yeah, it's hard to take those guys out of the cooler and for them to be quiet. Yeah. I'm sure that they went to
Mike's
Publix.
Hard Lemonade, which
Mike's, Sam Adams.
They have a big
Who drinks that crap.
You would be surprised, bro.
Yeah, I guess so.
Seagram's. You wouldn't believe how many people drink Seagram's.
When we were 17 and we couldn't get anything else.
But the problem is that you got to understand you're a sophisticated guy with a sophisticated palate. I mean, the people that surround you on a daily basis are not. Yeah. They eat Papa John's pizza every day and they
brain
drink
dead
Seagram's.
Idiots.
That's mooks we call them.
Oh.
That's just saying. I mean, they're out there. I mean, regardless of what you call them or anything. I mean, there's a lot of people like that. And guess what? Everybody's in the business to really make money at the end of the day. So if you're someone like Miller and you're missing out on that segment of the business,
definitely
they're going to do it because at the end of the day, they want to have their fingers in all the pies. Now, a lot of breweries, of course, that we deal with on this show could give a shit less about that, and they just want to make the best beer possible.
Yeah, that's the people we want to buy.
Well, that's why the Germans, actually Americans really are modern day interpretations of what the Europeans have been doing forever, and they're not going to give up their their laurels, and they're not going to give up their respect for things just to put their fingers in everything. But guess who owns all these big conglomerates? It's not Americans anymore. The number one American export brewery is Brooklyn. Did you know that?
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. Because guess what? They're the only American. They're an American company,
brewery,
owned by Americans. You know what I mean? And it's just like that's all that's left is American craft beers, because now everybody is owned by somebody else. South America, Brazil, Belgium, wherever you name it. They're not. It's not American. So, and that American craft beer, we've been talking about that for years. I've been saying for friggin' years on this show that people, you want to support America, you can always go out and buy a nice have a Schafferhofer in the afternoon, and then go buy an IPA somewhere. Because we love the Germans too. I mean,
we do.
Was it over when they bombed Pearl Harbor? Fantastic. I guess so. We'll get back into the craft. And speaking of American interpretations of European traditionals, guess what? The Germans want to bring in some of our interpretations. They want to do some stuff, but they also want to put their own spin on things, right? I mean,
yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Germans created a Braufaktum line. It was created by Dr. Mark Roschmann. This is you're going to taste it in a little bit. This is something that is going to come out on 22-ounce bottles and on draft. It's going to come out every
refrigerator.
Every 2 or 3 months. He's coming out with a Kolsch style, an IPA. There's a one called Rug, which is a smoked wheat.
That's the one we're going to try today.
That's the one we're going to try today.
I'm really interested in that.
You have Progusta. You have different styles of beer that's going to come out. You have a Darken that's coming out for the fall.
Progusta, that sounds like a Spanish word or an Italian.
Yeah, that one's actually coming out now.
Really?
For this type, actually, Darken. Progusta's out right now, and then Darken will come out after that.
Wow, so what are some of the styles that those entail?
That one looks scary.
Like I said, an IPA. You have Kolsch.
Oh, wow, okay.
You have the smoked wheat.
Yeah.
And there's 2 more styles. The Indra, which is a white. It's the IPA. It's actually an IPW. It's an India Pale Wheat Ale.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I haven't heard of that one.
That one is the Indra.
Wow.
India Pale Wheat.
Yeah,
that sounds interesting. I haven't. No one's jumped on that one.
Well, there's a lot of people in America that make wheat IPAs, like little something.
Yeah.
But not the same way. That's not the same at all.
Yeah, so. These are just a line that's coming out.
Now, Schlenkeller, you heard of that one?
No, I haven't.
We tasted it on the show. It was that smoked beer we tried. Remember, it tasted like bacon.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of smoked beer.
Well, I couldn't pronounce it. So here's a smoked beer that you're going to try here. Now
great.
It smells like a sipper.
Oh yeah. He just described
That's good.
I got some molasses off of it right now.
Have you been to Bramberg, right? Or did you go to Bramberg when you were there?
I did not go to Bramberg.
But you've heard about Bramberg and what? Jason, look up the smoked beer from Bramberg.
Okay,
it starts with an S.
It's in the upper.
I know
upper
it very
region.
well, but I just can't say the word. It's Schlenkerla or Schleckerla. I'm not, for some reason, it doesn't sound like a German word to me, but anyway, it is. And they were one of the first people, because remember we talked about how the Germans couldn't get their malts correct for a long time.
Schlenkerer? I don't even know. Yeah, something like
that. Yeah. So basically, what they would do is they would have to you would dry malt. If you wanted it to dry quickly, what would you have to do? Put it over a fire.
Right.
So when you put your malt over a fire, what happens? It brings in all those smoky. Right.
This tastes a lot better than it smells.
Which
the smell kind of scared me a little bit. It just smelled like molasses.
How many times have you said that in your life?
Like every other day. It comes up a lot. You'd be amazed.
Yeah, it's smoked. It's
right.
Got a strong smokiness.
I get like a molasses smell. So
I think I like the smell. Nice. Yeah, it smells like candy to me.
Wow, that really smells nice, man. Yeah. Let me see that bottle. Wow, Braufaktum.
Okay, now my second whiff, I got the smoky.
I'll tell you what, though. This is a Rauchweizen, and that means not heavy smoked wheat
at all.
Very cool. Rauchweizen. Very good.
And this makes my tongue tingle. The smoke does.
Das Rauchmalz.
Kind of like the smoky Scotch does.
Buchenwalz Holfolzer. These fucking German words, excuse me.
Now, that's
Buchenholzfuhr.
I'm getting some bacon.
Gidart. That's
definitely.
Well, that's what I was talking about before.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Remember we said about the bacon beer? This is really interesting. Oh my God, this is wonderful though, because there's a very strong intensity to this that I get off of a lot of really nice Imperial IPAs.
When you introduced me to smoky Scotch, and I blame Brett and this show for that, I didn't dig it at first, and I warmed up to it really quickly. Now I like it. The smokier, peatier, the better.
Let your mouth.
I tried it. I'm not a big fan.
Okay, I actually like this one.
I love bacon. It's just
what it reminds me of is the glazed sweet honeyed ham with the clove.
Yeah, it's definitely got.
Does it have clove in it? Because it smells.
No, but that smoky flavor. It's a wheat beer, so they use the yeast of a Hefeweizen, I would imagine, to give it some type of clove phenol. That would make sense.
It actually has reminiscent of juniper ham.
There you go. Okay, cool. So I picked it up.
Yeah, it tastes like ham.
I like that. That's really good. Now, normally I don't like this kind of stuff, but this is exceptional. Now, what makes this one different from the rest is it's not an overabundance. That Schlenkerla, that is just like smoke in your mouth. It's too intense. This one, it's a beer that has nuances of flavor to it, right?
Oh, yeah. No, this has got a lot of fun flavors in it.
I would drink this at the Sabarite Pig.
Yeah, this would work well with Sabarite Pig. Yeah. It would also work well with a lot of the food.
Or the Tipsy Boar.
Yeah.
With some nice like pork belly sliders.
Yeah.
Oh, pork belly sliders, yeah.
I would need something like heavy and greasy to drink with this. Me.
How about Juanita?
Like pork belly sliders.
She's heavy and greasy. Hey, so
my ex.
She
was by and large.
You bought her while she was large. What? She was by and large. Okay, we're starting to catch a buzz. I like it. So, talk to me about this one. Now, beautiful color on this. It's not as dark as you would think because it's a wheat beer. It's almost like a little bit of a.
It's a deep reddish,
Yeah, it's like it's like the darkest of ambers.
Yeah.
Right. It really is. It's almost like a light brown, and it's just a perfect. Like George was saying. You get pineapple, you get ham.
Every time I smell it, it smells different.
There's a lot of fruity
There's a ton of fruits in this one.
Because it took a while for my mouth to adjust to the smoky, peaty Scotch.
If you notice, I've tried it 3 times.
I love it. Just keep going until you like it. It'll happen.
That's what she said.
I know.
That's what he said to her. Keep going until you like it. It'll happen. Don't worry.
They always don't. Nobody likes it at first, but they wind up liking it in the end.
Turn that frown upside down.
Oh my God.
So, is this something that you're considering bringing into the United States, or
this is already in the United States? Yep,
and that's made in Germany.
That's made in Germany.
So that's German craft beer.
It's German craft beer.
It says Das Craft Beer.
I can die
on the label. It says, in case you get confused there.
Yep, okay, the craft beer, and this one is 6.6%.
Wow, that's 6. A finisher.
6.6.
Told you it was a sipper. This is an after-dinner cordial.
It really is. It doesn't really. Actually, it's more of an aperitif because it really wants to gets me wanting to eat some food.
Something.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I have some Nutter Butters.
Bacon-wrapped dates with this.
Oh, I don't like the dates. Bacon-wrapped shrimp.
Okay. That'll work too.
This is actually good with shrimp, with any seafood.
Yeah.
With a good piece of a fillet.
Why is it good with seafood? Because it's contrasted so much, right?
Yeah, because of the smokiness.
Okay.
Yeah, it cuts through it, and it's a contrasting flavor that works really well with it. That's fantastic. It's amazing, folks. It's been a really wonderful show. Is that the correct time up there?
It's a little bit fast, so just wait for the music. You got another minute.
Well, I just wanted to say to everybody how nice it is to be back.
I
wanted to thank Greg
I missed this show
Garcia for the Radaburger group to come in here and share all these wonderful beers with us. It's a good time, and this is what it's all about, folks. Come to you Thursdays at 6:00. You can always catch us the replays and the archives. We have many great shows. We had a calamity. The
whole
everything. But
we're slowly rebuilding.
Yeah, and Jason's putting all the old shows back on.
Yes, I am.
He keeps adding them, so we have hundreds and hundreds of shows, believe it or not, and
very nice.
And they're all there for you to check out. And it's like an education. If you want to know, we bring the people in that actually sell the stuff, that represent the stuff. You don't just have to sit here and listen to me pontificate about it. We have the real people here that actually mean business. And to bring the product to you. And,
right on.
Another fantastic show. So we look forward to this Brau Factum and a lot of these German craft beers. Is this something that could possibly be in South Florida with just the approval of the swipe of a pen, so to speak?
Very likely for the 2015.
Very likely for 2015?
Yeah. and
That's
it'll
fantastic.
be in small quantities.
Anything
but
you want to plug?
it'll be-
Something going on? You going down to? There's a beer festival in Grovetoberfest. You gonna
I
be down
sure
there?
am. I sure am. I'll be there on the.
Are you
going to
be? Are you going to be at the New Times the week after?
I will not be at the New Times. I will be out of Florida.
But possibly you can
But-
try the beer there if somebody pours it for you, other than you.
More than likely, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. We might be at the New Times too. We haven't pinned that down yet, but either way,
I'm on
it's wonderful to see you guys, and we'll catch you next Thursday at 6 on SoFlo Radio and By the Glass Show. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Greg, for
Thank
coming
you for
in.
having me.
All right,
Thank you.
take care, guys. Drive safe. Beautiful. Thanks so much. Great job. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was good. All right, I gotta pee.
Oh, this is really good.